When I saw this assignment, the first person came to my mind is her, Stella. Among all my friends, I think nobody can be more cosmopolitan than her. When I asked her to help me to do the interview, she's more than happy to help me. But for the time and the distance limitation, our interview is done through the WeChat and also emails. Hello, Stella. So nice to see you again on the WeChat. My first question would be, would you like to talk about a little bit about your background information, like where were you born and how many places have you been to?
Thank you, Mei, for having me for this very interesting interview. Yes, my own background. Well, I was born in Xi'an, the north of China, and I went to the college, which is in the south of China. And after my graduation, I traveled to Shenzhen, the very south of China. That's a city right next to Hong Kong. So I was there for almost a year, traveling and just having fun and I had some part-time jobs. And then I came to Beijing, the capital of China. And I started working at BRS, the Beijing Royal School, as an English teacher. And then 2 years later, I chose to study at UNC, the University of North Carolina, for my master's degree at education. And after I graduated, I went back to China and I started to travel during my winter and summer vacations. I've been traveled to the Thailand, Malaysia, and Singapore, and also Japan, most of the countries in Europe, and also, of course, United States. So it's been a very, very fun time for me too when I was traveling.
It's so amazing you have been to so many places. And so, can you tell me a little bit why do you like to travel into so many places and experience different cultures?
The reason why I love traveling so much is because I'm always very curious about how the rest of the world looks like. Especially I want to experience the culture difference. So when I was studying at United States, I met so many different people who are from different countries, so I'm very curious about their lifestyle and their belief and how their society looks like. So that's why, and also, I love the different kinds of like the cuisine from different countries and the beautiful sceneries and I used to love history when I was little, so I've always wanted to see all those wonders, historical wonders around the world, like the pyramid and the great Stonehenge.
Do you define yourself as a cosmopolitan?
I believe being a cosmopolitan, you need to be always open-minded and considerate and respectful to when facing cultural diversity. And of course, also you need to be always aware of the diversity around you and fully respect, fully accept the diversity around you, and try to put yourself in other people's shoes to understand and to respect their choices and their opinions and their ways of living. Otherwise, you won't experience the beauty of another culture, and you probably would have the prejudice or stereotype towards some other culture.
What is your reaction, or what kind of attitudes do you have, and when you perceive cultural differences?
So when I was experiencing a very different culture, or when I was having a culture shock, I would let myself to be a full observer. I just sit there and quietly, without no judgment, observing other people's lifestyles or other people's choices, or listen to their opinions and listen to their voices. So, for example, I remember when I was traveling to Greece last summer, and I noticed that a lot of people, they treat animals in a very different ways. When I was traveling to Santorini, the small beautiful island, and they use donkeys to carry tourists and carry very heavy luggages all the way from the bottom of the cliff to the top of the cliff. And that was I think that was a very brutal way to treat animals. And I noticed a lot of animals, their shoulders was bleeding, and their knees were worn off. So it was really sad for me to see that. And then I made a local friend, so we discussed about it, and she told me that yes, it was very brutal. It is very brutal to treat an animal like that, but and this has been like 1,000 years history already. That's the way people interact with animals, with mules, with donkeys. That's just how the way it is. So they just basically follow the tradition.
Or how do you transmit your cultural awareness to your students?
My cultural awareness definitely has a positive influence on my teachings. I need to explain to my students. I need to search for the video, or I need some visual aids to help my student to fully try their best to experience it, to understand it, to accept it, to be aware of it. So. And I use my own traveling experiences to give them a more vivid description of different culture, or how I deal with it when I was traveling. So it's been quite helpful. If you yourself have the experience of traveling to different countries, it would be much easier for you to illustrate those we could say abstract concept or abstract textbook knowledge to students. And also, I always teach my students to be respectful to everyone around you, no matter he or she is having a very different or even the opposite way of living than yours. So we should always accept this is our world. We live we live on the same planet. However, we have billions, countless ways of living and very different ways of view things.
I love your way of teaching, which goes beyond textbook. Is there any other way that the students can experience cultural difference if they cannot go to so many places physically?
Oh yes, there are so many ways to experience culture difference other than traveling to that place. Well, definitely you could watch movies from all kinds of countries and TV shows, movies. You can also check up the news from different countries, and also, of course, you could read. Actually, I think reading is the best way of getting to know the other culture, because in the book you have time, like slowly digest every bit pieces of the different culture and how people live, how people having conversation with each other, how their family connection is, and how basically everything. So because I'm also teaching English reading, we call it literature. So I choose a lot of books for students. For example, the Angela's Ashes, a very great book. Well, it said in the book it was a biography, an autobiography. So it tells a story about their family lived in New York City, and then moved because of the Great Depression, and everybody was broke. And then they moved to Ireland, and they lived in different parts of Ireland, and then they moved back to America. So basically, yeah, you can experience the cultural difference already in the book. The new American culture and the old European culture, and how people see each other, the different way they view each other. It's quite interesting. And also, you could always talk to people who's been traveling to your own country. You can talk to an American or European or Japanese or Korean who happens to be in your country. So that's also be a shortcut to experience the cultural difference.
Thank you for your unique perspectives in cosmopolitanism, and thank you for your patience and time, Stella. And wish you next journey smooth and happy. Through this interview with Stella, I got deeper understanding of cosmopolitanism. A curious mind keeps one to discover the new world. And being respectful and understandable makes one stand on a global perspective and enjoy the beauty of another culture while still loyal to one's own culture. And both real-life experiences and reading through literature provides multiple ways to make contact with the world. And I think all those are very good manifestations of being cosmopolitan.